Thank you, everyone. And to officially start our program, I would like to call on MBC Executive Director Apa Ongpin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're actually having a very interesting discussion at our table. I hope you were too. Anyway, this event falls under our Foreign Leaders series, which will feature ambassadors and other foreign dignitaries who share their insights on key topics such as trade, investments, and geopolitical developments and emerging challenges, which we have plenty of today. In the past, we've met with the ambassadors of the United States, Australia, and Vietnam, and today we are privileged to be joined by the Ambassador of Japan, His Excellency Endo Kazuya, who is celebrating his first year anniversary in the Philippines this month. Before I turn the mic over to Chairman Ed Chua for the welcome remarks, may I just acknowledge the presence of various very important persons. From the ambassadors, we have the Brazilian ambassador, His Excellency Gilberto Fonseca Guimarães de Moura. We have the MBC Makati Business Club Board, Chairman Ed Chua, Vice Chairman Jaime Zobel de Ayala, Ambassador Jose Cuisia, Mr. Ramon del Rosario, Mr. Lito Tayag, Mr. Peter Maquera, and Cosette Canilao, who will come on stage later to moderate the open discussion. I'd also like to make a special mention of former Vice President Cesar Virata, who was able to join us today. Prime Minister Virata was actually the Prime Minister when Makati Business Club was formed in 1981. Then representatives from our sponsors, from SGV, Mr. Wilson Tan, the Chairman and Managing Partner, Palo Alto, Mr. Thomas Mirasol of Federal Land, Mr. Yusuke Hirano of FNG, Mr. Yasushi Iwata of SMBC, and Mr. Hiroyasu Kanda, incoming Managing Director and Country Head of SMBC, and Mr. Shigeru Shimoda of Marubeni. May I invite Chairman Ed Chua to deliver the welcome remarks and introduce our speaker.
Thank you very much, Apa. Good afternoon. Konnichiwa, everyone. On behalf of my colleagues in Makati Business Club, I'd like to welcome everyone here, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests. It is really with great honor and pleasure that we gather here today to welcome His Excellency Endo Kazuya, the Ambassador of Japan to the Philippines. Ambassador Kazuya has over 30 years of experience in foreign service. He has served in critical diplomatic posts, including China, the US, and the UK. He has held key posts at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Japan, including International Legal Affairs Bureau, Foreign Policy Bureau, Asian and Oceanian Affairs Bureau, the Non-Proliferation and Science Department, Consular Affairs Bureau, and the International Cooperation Bureau. This is Ambassador Endo's first MBC event, and hopefully this will not be his last. His presence is a testament to the strong and enduring friendship between our two nations, built on mutual respect, shared values, and a commitment to cooperation. The Philippines and Japan have a long history of collaboration, spanning about 69 years. We have worked together in various fields, including trade, culture, education, security, and disaster response. In 2022 and 2023, Japan was our #1 source of net foreign direct investments, with investments valued at $8.9 billion and is currently our biggest investor in PEZA. Japan has consistently been our #1 source of official development assistance for many, many years and has supported building or improving critical infrastructure projects. On people-to-people linkages, last year, Japanese nationals were in our top 3 source of foreign travelers when over 383,000 Japanese nationals visited the Philippines. Conversely, Japan was the #1 destination for over 800,000 Filipino travelers who visited Japan for either leisure or business. I recall sending a message to the ambassador a few months ago about delays in securing a visa being encountered. I shouldn't bother the ambassador, but I had no choice. Some of our members were saying, can you please check with the embassy? And the only number I had was the number of the ambassador. So they had problems about processing of the visa, and the ambassador quickly replied that the embassy was being overwhelmed with applications. And looking at the number, 800,000, it's quite big. Shortly thereafter, an announcement came out about the opening of Japan Visa Application Center next month in 5 locations: Parañaque, Makati, Quezon City, Cebu, and Davao. I'm sure this was not because of my getting in touch with the ambassador. They had planned this well in advance. Japan has a growing role in reinforcing a free, open, and secure Indo-Pacific, especially with the volatilities and uncertainties in today's world. We've seen it with the recent signing of the Philippines-Japan Reciprocal Access Agreement last year, and with Japan awarding official security assistance to the Philippines for 2 years in a row. All this affirm what we already know, that we have a robust and dynamic partnership with Japan, fueling mutual growth, security, and prosperity for both our countries. On a lighter note, in preparation for his appointment in the Philippines, the ambassador took a crash course in Tagalog. But what he didn't need was a crash course on karaoke. The ambassador shares the Filipinos' love for music, but unlike many of us, the ambassador can stay in tune for a song or two. So if anyone here wants to sing a duet with a partner, you know who to ask and turn to. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce His Excellency Ambassador Endo Kazuya. Please welcome him.
Mr. Endo Chua, Chairman of Makati Business Club, and there are so many distinguished business leaders around the room. His Excellency Gilberto, our fellow ambassador from Brazil, and former Prime Minister Virata, Mr. Virata. I think it was right after my arrival in Manila when I met with former Prime Minister Virata, and I've been very much impressed by his long contributions to this country. And magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. And this might be the only word that I'm speaking as Tagalog for today, but I hope that you will all allow me to speak in English, and I hope to pass the test of yours, because I also don't want this occasion to be the last engagement with MBC. But it's a great honor for me to address this distinguished audience from the Philippines business sector, which serves as the cornerstone of the nation's economy. As my term in this very important country enters into my second year, It is my strong hope that I can further strengthen our Japanese government's ties with the Philippine business community in various ways. And so in that sense, I really wholeheartedly appreciate this opportunity to be with you today. But I think Chairman Chua already made much better formulated remark than my speech. Or is it? Oh, is it working? Okay. Only this is not working. Okay. Okay. Before I get into the substance, please allow me also to introduce myself. Since I joined the Japanese Foreign Service in 1990, I had been posted overseas in Beijing, China 3 times, twice in the US, Boston and Washington, D.C., and once in London, UK. In addition to my work in various posts at the headquarters in Tokyo, which was about 20-some years, 22 years in total. Before I started working as ambassador here, I had several opportunities to visit the Philippines. My first visit to the Philippines was in 1995, exactly 30 years ago, when I was still a young foreign ministry official. And right before I came here, I was working as the Director General for International Corporations. And in that previous capacity, I also had the pleasure of joining the delegation of our former Prime Minister Kishida's visit to the Philippines when it was in November 2023. And my official service started with the presentation of my credentials to the President. Our presentation of credentials is a traditional, as you all know, traditional ceremonies for ambassadors, as Ambassador Gilberto also experienced here or in some other postings, to bring a letter of credentials from the head of state of your own country and present it to the head of state of the host country. And in my case, I had the honor to present the credential of the Emperor of Japan to President Marcos to officially begin my term as ambassador. And it was on April 4th last year, so time flies. It's about a year since I started my service. And of course, an important role of any ambassadors is to represent your own country in various activities in the country of assignment and to strengthen the relationship between your own country and the country of assignment. And for this reason, since I started my activities as ambassador, I think I've been meeting with those in the Philippine government as well as those in the private sectors. Before I came here, I was checking my schedule last year. On March 25th last year, I also had the occasion to make a courtesy call to the executive secretary, Secretary Bersamin, as well as to the DFA USEC, Ms. Lazaro, on that day. So it was this space that I started my work. And in the last 1 year, I think I paid courtesy calls to hundreds of Filipino dignitaries and participated in another hundreds of meetings. And I have also traveled outside Metro Manila to represent Japan in various ceremonies and events and to meet with provincial and city leaders and also interact with some of the locals. It is a delight to experience the variety of cultures the Philippines has to offer And I think it is really the attractiveness of the Philippine society community, which has a wide variety of diversities in various parts of the country. And just last month, I also had the honor to host a National Day reception, and some of you might have kindly joined us, but the National Day reception was held to celebrate the birthday of His Majesty Emperor Naruhito. And it was my first experience as the ambassador, and it was heartwarming to see so many people, including the Senate, President, Chief Justice of Supreme Court, Speaker of the House, so many cabinet secretaries and our fellow ambassadors spending an evening with us. And thank you very much for your participation as well. The reception was also an excellent opportunity to showcase some of the Japanese cultures and products. But of course, as was mentioned by Chairman Chua, the strong economic ties between Japan and the Philippines do form the foundation of our thriving bilateral relationship. And as was mentioned briefly, Japan is a major direct investor for the Philippines. In terms of cumulative total, Japan occupies the second over the past 10 years. Japan is also a major trading partner for the Philippines, as you can see in the graph. Japan is the first in imports and the second in exports in terms of our cumulative total over the past 10 years. The main items for both imports and exports are electrical and electronic products. I hope that the enactment of Create More Act of last year will further encourage the Japanese companies' investment in the Philippines. And from that perspective, I would also like to continue to closely follow the implementation phase of the Create More Act, which is really an important issue for many of the Japanese companies' operations. And at the same time, the embassy will be watching closely the development of some other bills that can have some impacts over the economic operations of the Japanese companies in this country. As you know, we have a Japan-Philippine Economic Partnership Agreement, or JPEPA, which entered into force in 2008, quite many years ago. And we also have Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which entered into force in June 2023. Under these economic partnership agreements, Japan-Philippines economic relations have been strengthened, and JPEPA not only established lowered or zero tariffs on many goods, but also dispatched almost 700 nurses and almost 3,000 care workers to date on the government-to-government operated programs. And at the same time, there are almost 227,000 Filipino workers now working in Japan, the third largest number of foreign workers for Japan. Filipinos comprise more than 70% of the estimated 45,000 crew members of Japanese merchant shipping companies. So the seafarers and other Filipino friends working in Japan are also a very strong bond that unites our two countries. And currently, as was mentioned, about 1,600 Japanese companies are operating in the Philippines. And more than 800 companies registered with the PEZA, Philippine Economic Zone Authority, are Japanese affiliated. The largest number among the foreign companies and comprising about 20% of all registered companies for PEZA. So cumulatively, these companies employ around 340,000 people in this country. And I also would like to express my appreciation, deep appreciation to the Filipino friends who have strong consumer confidence in Japanese products. More and more Japanese companies are tapping the Philippine market. And the first opening ceremony for me personally to attend was the opening of Nitori in BGC. The Philippines has the largest number of Uniqlo and Daiso stores in the ASEAN region, and which is also a very important aspect for the Japanese businesses. And another important area of our economic ties is the energy-related areas, and decarbonization is an urgent issue for both Japan and the Philippines. And Japan has established the Asian Zero Emissions Community, so-called AZEC, which includes the Philippines and 9 other countries to promote cooperation toward carbon neutrality and net zero emissions in the region. With the realization of foreign investment restrictions in the Philippine energy sector, Japanese companies are increasingly investing in this industry. And LNG is considered a transitional fuel in the Philippines, and I recently made a visit to an LNG terminal operated by First Gen and Tokyo Gas in Batangas. Last month, I also paid a courtesy call to Secretary Latilia, where I exchanged views with him on Japan-Philippine Energy Cooperation and AZEC initiatives, and had discussed issues related to carbon neutrality and renewable energy. I expect to see much cooperation and many projects between Japan and the Philippines in the energy sector. Again, earlier this week, we also had Japan-Philippines Economic Cooperation and Infrastructure Joint Committee meeting together with the Philippine Cabinet Secretaries and the Japanese delegation. And as was again mentioned, Japanese government has also been providing support to the Philippines development and socio-economic agenda for many years. I think even in the term of the Prime Minister Virata, Japan was already a major supporter or the partner in the infrastructure development in this country. Japan's ODA started in late 1960s and has supported numerous transportation infrastructure with the Japan-Philippine Friendship Road, which started as early as late 1960s, including such previous projects as Subic-Clark, Tarlac Expressway, Metro Manila intersections, Naya Airport Terminal 2, bridges such as San Fanico or Second Mactan, as well as such ongoing projects as Metro Manila Subway and North-South Commuter Railway. Since I came to Manila, I had much more occasions to attend those various ceremonies for the openings or the connecting of the various infrastructure projects, which gives me a great honor and pleasure to express our strong commitment to the Philippines. The capacity building support to PCG and others has also been conducted through official development assistance. And another area of our emphasis in the field of official development assistance is the cooperation for Mindanao peace process. Japan has been supporting over 100 projects for the peace process with 3 key pillars such as administrative capacity building of the Bangsamoro Transitional Authority, cooperation for the normalization process, and the cooperation on socioeconomic development. Domestic stability is a prerequisite to be prepared for the external challenges. Recently, for example, Japan has been implementing through UNDP a project for raising awareness and promoting digitalization of electoral process in Bangsamoro to support the efforts of COMELEC. I hope that the first parliamentary election planned to be conducted in October in Barm will be conducted as planned and as fairly, democratically, as safely as possible. Undoubtedly, cultural promotion and people-to-people exchanges have greatly enhanced our ties and this is really a great opportunity for us. At the same time, slight challenge for the embassy's operation. This is particularly evident in the Filipino friends' keen interest in visiting Japan as a tourist destination. And to be frank, we have 2 peak seasons for the visa applications. Before Christmas and New Year season, from September, October, November, around that time. And right now, from February, March, for the cherry blossom season. And now we are going through this very challenging period. And next month, we are, as was mentioned, on the, should be 7th of April, we are establishing the Japan Visa Center in various places. And we hope that during the very hot summer season in this country, we can get accustomed to the new environment so that we can have a relatively stable, steady transitional period so that we can better service to the Filipino friends who want to go to Japan as a tourist and and we would like to make the processes to be even more efficient and effective, which can be a sustainable way of supporting our people-to-people exchanges. Actually, last year, it was our embassy's first time to issue more than 500,000 visas in a single year, and the numbers are expected to grow even more rapidly. So this is a very happy situation, as last year we welcomed more than 800,000 Filipino travelers to Japan. And maybe some of you or many of you here today were part of this significant breakthrough. And this is both really an important topic that we have to work through. Another area for our cooperation is the security or the international order. The security cooperation between Japan and the Philippines is growing rapidly, and our two countries have strengthened the security cooperation in recent years, and it is critical for maintaining the rules-based international order, we believe. During former Prime Minister Kishida's visit to the Philippines in November 2023, to which I was accompanying as a delegation member, the commencement of negotiation for the Japan-Philippines Reciprocal Access Agreement was announced. And within only 7-8 months, the agreement was agreed, and it was signed in July 2024, when the second 2+2 Foreign and Defense Ministerial meeting was held in Manila. And in December, the Philippine Senate concurred with the agreement, and high-level exchanges continued this year with separate visits by Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs in January, and that of the Minister of Defense in February, respectively. And second area of our security cooperation is more frequent joint exercises between the Philippines forces and the Japan Self-Defense Forces. Maritime cooperative activity are jointly navigated by naval vessels, started last April, and has been conducted 6 times so far. Japan has also been supporting the Philippines' capacity building in terms of equipment. The transfer of air surveillance radar systems supplied by Mitsubishi Electric Corporation was realized as the first case of an overseas transfer of finished equipment from Japan. The Philippines is the only country to receive official security assistance from Japan for 2 consecutive years, with the first one being provided in the form of coastal radar systems. Strengthening maritime law enforcement capabilities are the most direct support for the maintenance of maritime order. Japan has already been supporting 10 44-meter class vessels and 2 97-meter class vessels to the Philippine Coast Guard. Last year, there were so many clashes in the West Philippine Sea, and some of those 97-meter class vessels have been damaged, and so I took it as one of the issues that I should be fully engaged. And in addition, May of last year, I signed exchange of notes with Foreign Secretary Manalo for the additional support of 5 97-meter class vessels. And I would like to emphasize again that Japan's support is not only for hardware, but also for the soft technical cooperation, such as the collaboration during the Manila Bay oil spills and various trainings for PCG officials. And it's only less than a year ago when the trilateral summit meeting between the US President, the Philippine President, and the Japanese Prime Minister was held. I really strongly believe that strengthening trilateral cooperation between the Philippines, Japan, and the United States is critical to maintain peace and security in the Indo-Pacific region. The trilateral cooperation has deepened swiftly last few years, and I was happy to see that historical first ever trilateral summit meeting be held in Washington, D.C., right after the start of my service in this very important country. So at that time, the United States then expressed appreciation and welcomed the Philippines' efforts to conclude the Japan-Philippines RAA, Reciprocal Access Agreement, and as well as its defense cooperation through OSA, Official Security Assistance, and defense equipment transfers. Now, with the new U.S. administration in place starting last January, it is critical for both Japan and the Philippines to maintain close communication with Washington, D.C., and encourage the U.S. to remain committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific and continue the robust cooperation among our three countries. And I welcome the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth scheduled to visit the Philippines in his first trip to Asia on March 28th and 29th, right before his visit to Japan. So far, I think both Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State of the new administration has been quite clear in maintaining their Indo-Pacific policies as well as their collaboration with the Philippines, Japan in a trilateral format. And I think it is critical for us to work with them in various ways, and I'm sure that the Secretary Hegseth's visit to the Philippines will be an important opportunity to present the commitment to the alliance and to the collaborations among the three countries. Of course, the trilateral cooperation is not only in the security field, it is to bring economic prosperity to the region. For example, infrastructure cooperation, supply chain resilience, cooperation on Open RAN can also be an important part of our trilateral cooperation. Finally, I would like to highlight an upcoming event that will further strengthen and enrich the relationship between Japan and the Philippines. A roster of exciting events awaits as Japan holds the World Expo in Osaka, opening in April. It's going to be on the 13th of April, and I invite you to join us in this much awaited event where 160 countries, regions, and international organizations will gather at Umeshima Island in Osaka to showcase their technologies and unique culture. Last night, I also had a chance to host Secretary Frasco, DOT Secretary, who is in charge of the World Expo affairs. And I hope that we can further collaborate, and the Philippines can also present the attractiveness to the world through utilizing these occasions. The Philippines has its own pavilion at a very good location, right in front of the entrance, right next to the U.S. pavilion. And I think that it will be a very important opportunity for both countries to strengthen the ties. And of course, the festivities don't end there. In 2026, we will mark the 70th anniversary of our diplomatic relations between the Philippines and Japan. And in the same year, next year, the Philippines will be hosting ASEAN, will be chairing the ASEAN, and I'm sure there will be so many cabinet ministers or our prime minister will be making a visit to the Philippines to join those related events and meetings. And so this year, next year will also be a very important occasions to further strengthen the ties. And considering the current challenges in the international fora, I think we should be steadily and deepen our ties in various fields so that we can be a good force for the stability in the region. Appreciating to all the support and friendship extended to us, I'm filled with optimism for the future of our bilateral relationship. Japan and the Philippines have been working together in multiple fronts to realize our mutual goals, and I'm confident that in the coming years, this fruitful partnership will continue to endure and inspire even more Filipino friends in becoming important contributors to the friendship between Japan and the Philippines. And I would also like to encourage all the business leaders around the room to be deeply involved in the celebrations of our 70-year friendship next year. And I might be seeking for the guidance of some of you in the near future. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Kazuya, for your presentation. May I invite you to please kindly take a seat on stage while I'll ask MBC Trustee Cosette Canilao to join you to start our discussion. Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much for that, Ambassador. So we have allotted 30 minutes for the Q&A. And while you're preparing your question, I have a few questions of my own, Ambassador. First one, you mentioned about that trilateral cooperation which was signed less than a year ago, right? And we are all hoping that the U.S. with the new president will still stay committed to the agreement. But in case, for example, that we're all hoping that by Friday it's the same thing, right? But I think in our table we mentioned that we don't know what's gonna happen. But if something happens that's not what we're hoping for, how are we going to survive this new world order in this part of the world, especially?
Thank you very much for the very straightforward question. And my response at a very casual dining table and my response through the microphones might be slightly different. But of course, but so far, as I mentioned, I think we've been doing relatively well so far. And I thought that it was also very important for us to communicate how we should be approaching to the U.S. administration. And actually, our foreign minister made a visit to the Philippines in the middle of January this year. And right after that, he made a visit to Washington, D.C. to join the inauguration ceremony of President Trump. And on that day or the next, Secretary Rubio was approved by the Congress, and his first meeting with the foreign visitors was Secretary Rubio's participation in the Quad meeting between the US, Japan, Australia, and India. And at that occasions, of course, our foreign minister convey the strong message that whether it's the Quad format or the trilateral format between the Philippines, Japan, and the US, those various frameworks existing in the Indo-Pacific will be a very strong foundation for the maintenance of peace and stability in the region. And at least Secretary Rubio's response was quite positive to that note. And right after that, as I understand, after the meeting with those 3 foreign ministers and another one from another country, the 5th meeting for the newly appointed Secretary of State of the United States was the telephone call with Secretary Manalo here, which is also, although symbolically, a very important presentation of his own commitment to strengthening the ties with those countries in this region, which we should also be welcoming. And of course, there can be some various views within the administration around the country, but considering the challenges that are commonly faced by the United States, the Philippines, and Japan, I'm quite confident or relatively optimistic about our future prospects related to those trilateral cooperations.
That's good to hear. Thank you, Ambassador. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand, and Isa and Chris will go to you to give you the mic. Any question? Oh, from Ambassador Cuisia.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your very comprehensive and informative presentation. I didn't realize that we have over 220,000 Filipino workers in Japan, and I'm sure they have very good jobs. Thank you also for the strong support that your government has extended to the Philippines and for the enduring friendship between the Japanese people and the Filipino people. My questions, if I may, there are 2 questions. First, you had a recent, Japan, China, and South Korea had a meeting recently, I think the foreign ministers. And I was wondering whether in the discussions, the matter of the increasing tensions in the East and South China Seas was taken up, and whether there was any particular agreement that would be beneficial in terms of ensuring the peace and stability in the region. That's my first question. Second question, if I may, is what are the chances of the Philippines being invited to be part of the CTPPP agreement, or that trade bloc, the 11 countries that went ahead despite the withdrawal of the US from the TPP? Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much for this very important questions, Ambassador. The first related to the recent holding of the Japan-China ROK trilateral foreign ministers meeting, which was held over the last weekend. This year, Japan is the chair for that trilateral corporations, and currently our government is also willing to deepen the dialogues among the 3 countries. At the same time, there are so many existing issues that we have to address, and it's not only in those highly security related, sovereignty related issues, but also we also have lots of issues, particularly with the Chinese side in terms of the trade as well. For example, China still prohibits, bans the imports of the fishery products from Japan, which is a very big issue for some of those producers in Japan. And they still restrict the export of Japanese beef to the Chinese market, which has also been a very big issue for the beef producers. So, but the Japanese side raised our positions both on those sovereignty-related matters, on some of those trade-related matters, but as far as I understand, there's no significant progresses yet. But at the same time, although we have so many issues with them, but China is also an important neighbor from the Japanese perspective. So I think in the coming months or some period, we will be trying to increase the opportunities for the dialogues. But at the same time, it's the occasions that the Japanese side would clearly convey some of our concerns to the higher political leaders in the Chinese systems. And I think we will also be maintaining a very disciplined principles on many of the issues. Second issue related to PTPP. We are aware of the interest by the Philippine side related to the potential joining in the CPTPP, and but there hasn't been a very concrete discussions yet as of now, as far as I understand. But we would like to encourage or engage with as many partners, particularly those like-minded partners in the region as possible. So I think we are quite open to any kind of discussions related to that trade-related matters. And at the same time, there are some issues raised by the Filipino side over the J-paper and others, and I hope that in a way that is acceptable to both sides, we can further deepen our dialogues on various matters.
Thank you, Ambassador. While we're waiting for other questions, let me ask something on agriculture. Okay. So the trade between Japan and the Philippines has seen steady growth, with tropical fruits going to our country and premium Japanese produce coming here. What initiatives are currently underway to deepen this exchange, particularly in reducing tariffs, improving market access, and also resolving these very important phytosanitary challenges that we're experiencing?
Thank you very much. Just last year, the Philippines have started to export avocado to the Japanese market, and at the same time, the Japanese producer of strawberries have started to export those strawberries to the Philippine market, and that's also one step forward in order to mutually deepen the relationship in the agricultural trade. And there are lots of issues related to the agricultural trade between the two countries, and I am fully aware of the demand of lowering tariffs of some of the Philippine-produced agricultural products, particularly bananas. And we've been discussing with the Philippine government that there should be some balanced benefits to both sides related to the review of the trade agreement. So I hope that at some point in the future, we can further deepen the discussions over that. But as of this stage, with regard to the tariffs, it's the current situation that I can share with you now. But in addition to the issue of the reduction or the lowering of tariffs, there should be lots of other ways to further promote the Philippine agricultural products in the Japanese market. And I think right now, marketing is really, and I'm sure I shouldn't be saying this in front of the experts of the marketings in this room, but marketing of the agricultural products, it should be very important to expand the sales of the agricultural goods in the Japanese market. If you look at those prices of bananas sold in Japan, it's quite cheap. And I think it's the matter that we can further discuss how we can encourage the Japanese people, Japanese customers, more interested in the Philippine agricultural products. And that's one area that I tend to think personally that we should be having deeper discussions.
Thank you for that. Actually, also, Ambassador, are there any capacity building, initiatives in terms of upskilling or upgrading our phytosanitary processes so that it passes the Japanese standards? Are there any? Okay. Thank you for that. Any question from the? Okay, there's a question here from JJ.
Good afternoon, Ambassador and Cosette. I just wanted to articulate a question from a group behind me, and I have another question as well, Ambassador. The first is, what role has Japan's cultural diplomacy, such as anime, J-pop, food, played in strengthening bilateral relations between both of our countries? That is the first question. And the second question is, I was listening to a webinar this morning about U.S.-Japan alliance, and a question was raised about the issue of Russia. As you know, the current president of the U.S. is quite close, or tends to be close, to the head of Russia. And we also know that there has been tension between Japan and Russia for many years. What is the impact of that tendency of the current president of the U.S. on your concerns about this region, if Russia would like to use this closeness to impact on our region? Thank you.
Both a light and quite heavy question, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Well-balanced questions. And first, I was also very much impressed by some of the younger generation's capacity to learn language, even through animes and others, not through textbooks as we used to do when we were younger, 40, 50 years ago. And I think the cultural ties have strengthen our people-to-people exchanges and J-pop, particularly those animes, and have been quite instrumental to strengthening the younger generation's interest in Japan or in the Japanese cultures. And some of you have visited our humble residence, and I'm sure that you know that Voltes 5's characters at our residence, and it's quite an old anime, but it's still vivid in the minds of those generations of 40s and 50s, and still very strong ties to be interested and to be familiar and friendly to the Japanese cultures. And I'm sure that those have been playing a very significant role in strengthening our ties. And another thing that I was very much impressed is the strong interest of our Filipino friends in cuisines. After what many of the Filipino friends visit Japan for food, and I've also been impressed by so many Japanese restaurants around this area. I think those cultural ties are the first step door to enter into the foreign cultures, and our job is to encourage them to keep their interests into a deeper or wider aspect of our relationship. Second issue related to Russia. I think we are very much concerned about, for example, Russia's Russia's engagement with North Korea with regard to their aggressions against Ukraine. And but with regard to your specific questions, I think the only thing that we should be doing is to share our concerns with the U.S. administrations, with the U.S. leadership, so that they can maintain a disciplined way of handling various international issues. And so at this moment, our colleagues in the North American bureaus or our embassy in Washington, D.C. have been very busy sharing our perspectives, views related to so many issues in the world, on the world stage. And we should also learn their concerns, I mean the U.S. administration side's concerns and the areas of interest, and we should also be responding some of their concerns. And I don't think that there will be a very dramatic change at this moment, but we should also be continuing our discussions with the U.S. side, and that's something that I can respond.
Thank you, Ambassador. And there's another question there.
Good afternoon, Ambassador. Firstly, it's great to hear Japan's continued commitment to the Philippines. We actually received an advance question from one of the member of the audience who prefers to remain anonymous, but allow me to read it. With a few exits from other MNCs or multinational corporations in the Philippines, how do you encourage your fellow to invest in the country? Thank you.
That's a very good question, Ambassador. How can we increase Japanese FDIs into the Philippines?
I think the Philippine government is also trying to encourage the foreign investors to increase FDI in this country, particularly considering the changes of the operations or supply chain management in this region. I think it's very important also for the Philippine side to address some of the issues or some of the concerns that have been expressed by many of the previous investors or the existing investors from various countries. There are many issues related to the infrastructure, particularly the electricity cost and others, the stability of the policies, which impacts the long-term forecasts of the profitability of the investment, and the logistical matters related to the cost for the shipping and others. There are so many areas of the issues that have been shared, and the list of issues are quite clear. And we, the public side of the Japanese side, are also very much willing to work with the Philippine counterparts to address some of those matters. So our support to the transportation infrastructure has been one of the areas that we have committed ourselves to work with the Philippine side. But as the list of issues are there, it's very important for the Philippine side also to work to address those existing matters. And at the same time, it's not necessarily the Philippines alone, but other international partners, including the private sectors from various countries, are also willing to work with the Philippine side to address those matters.
Thank you for that, Ambassador. You mentioned a while ago in your presentation that you've been to several parts of the country. You've been to Davao, some parts of Mindanao, also Isabela, right? And you're a known foodie, so you've tried. You're an adventurous and courageous foodie, we've been told, and you've tried balut. So what other Filipino dish, have you tried and is currently your favorite, Ambassador? Something like that.
Thank you very much for a very light question. I didn't intend to be very courageous or venturist at all. When I made a visit to Isabela, a senator was also with us, and he was trying balut, and I was just talking with him, and I was told, Ambassador, why don't you try this? And I just simply responded to him, but it was very good. I loved that, and right after my trip to Isabela, it was also I made a visit to Davao, and it was my first time to try the durian there. But just like the nattos in Japan, when we were younger, 30, 40 years ago, nattos in Japan smelled very horrible, even for me. But now I think it's much better than it used to be. And I think some of your farmers are also working hard to make the smell of durians lighter, which I'm not sure.
Okay, so I think we can accommodate a question or two from the audience if there's any question. So last one on trade. You mentioned also in your presentation, Ambassador, that the biggest investors in our economic zones are Japanese manufacturers, and mostly they're in what they call this. What's it? Yeah, in our PESA, right? Mostly on electronics. So what other sectors or industries do you see as also having the greatest potential for growth for Japanese manufacturers to locate here in the Philippines?
Thank you very much. I think, as was clearly presented, most of those investment in the PESA area was the export-oriented industries, but as I also mentioned in the presentation, more and more companies are also interested in the Philippine market, not only for the export-oriented. So that's one area that might have some potentials. And another area, it's not necessarily manufacturing, but there are so many ongoing consideration of the investment in the energy sector.
Yeah, of course.
And that's going to be a very, once formally decided, it's going to be a very big cooperation or investment in this country, and which will also be a game changer in some relevant parts of the area. What else? I'm talking while considering, so. But
those are the two. Thank you, Ambassador. Okay, so time's up. But one last question to the Ambassador. So he mentioned about Voltes 5. You know, most of the people in this room grew up with watching Voltes 5, and probably Sina Mitch and the rest, they watched Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon, right? My personal favorite is Mazinger Z. What's your favorite anime show when you were growing up, Ambassador?
I think I also belong to the same generation. And to be frank, Voltes 5 is not at all famous in Japan, while Mazinger Z is quite famous for our generation. So if you
It was just 20, 30 years ago, mind you.
or for me, it's more than that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
So
much.
thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Kazuya.